Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is Wednesday night here in the Slingshot Racing League on Slingshot Racing TV. Appreciate everybody coming in tonight, tuning in right here on YouTube. We've got a lot in store on track for the undercut overheard 184 at Talladega. I mean, Talladega, when you think about this place, this is the holy grail of super speedway racing. And these drivers here tonight have to get through the hurdle of super speedway racing to make to get the points. Can they get out with the points here tonight? We're going to talk about a lot of things. We've got a giveaway tonight too, so stay tuned in the chat as well. We'll let Sean tell us a little bit more about that. But Sean, you're looking forward to this? I mean, I know I am. I'm almost speechless. I can barely get the words out.
We saw a great show in Daytona, and Talladega is just going to provide more of a show than Daytona did. Now that everybody's been out here a couple weeks and they know each other a little bit better than they did at the start of the season, I think we're going to have ourselves a great time tonight.
Yeah, this is always a place I look forward to in Slingshot Racing League. There's so much to be excited about. These drivers, while they are very respectful and very clean, this is the kind of place where you got to put a little elbow out to make it all come together to get your slingshot opportunity to shake and bake your way to victory at Talladega Superspeedway. Drafting packs here reach speeds of nearly 200 miles an hour, and for good reason. This track, the history of this place, talking about speed, the first couple of years, drivers wouldn't race here on the national touring level. The France family had to go out and find local racers who would roll the dice, take that chance, because some of the national touring guys wouldn't get out there and risk the speed. But we're in for a high-speed race here tonight. Cars are coming out for a little bit of practice right now to get themselves organized. In the meantime, I guess we'll talk about a couple of keys to tonight's race. Stories to follow. At the tippity top of that list, avoiding the big one is always the most important thing. Nailing it on pit road. We saw some pit road issues last week actually, at Circuit of the Americas. Drivers making sure they're hitting their lines, getting in the pit box, getting their service, and getting out, and nothing extra in between. Managing bump drafting, these Oreilly's auto parts cars, they do hook up pretty good. They're not, this isn't the national touring rules. They can actually stay locked onto one another, but I'm sure we're going to see drivers get close up and make friends with one another here throughout the evening. And speaking of friends, who are they? You're going to see a lot of drivers making friends if they can't get with teammates and folks that they are familiar with driving around, at least in the early stages of this race. Ideally, we'd like to see everybody kind of having a good time and then drag racing it out at the end of this thing to see who we can who comes across the stripe first. So a lot of good keys. Sean, anything in particular you're looking forward to or you expect from this race or these drivers should be looking for tonight?
Well, there's usually two big strategies that come out to play here at Talladega. Those that go straight to the front and fight for the lead throughout the race, and those that are hanging back in the back, waiting for that big one to happen. And with these stories to follow, all four of these play a part in what strategy you pick tonight. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out a winner. Somebody we've seen up front all race long, or somebody who's in the back kind of out of that picture, sneaks up and grabs it at the end.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We're going to bring it all to you. The action is going to be fantastic here tonight. I'm already locked in watching these guys in practice. A little bit of bumping, a little bit of grinding. They're slipping and sliding all over the place, but we'll check in on the point standings. Speaking of slipping and sliding, it's a ladder up and a slip and slide down, but we've got some good points here. Chris Smith, after winning the Texas Challenge last week, leading the points. Josh Ward, Braxton DeWeese, Ellis Thomas, Chase Barry, Ryan Rose, Scotty Sobczak, Johnny Rapp, Adrien Schumacher, a winner here this season, and Brandon Ayers in the top 10 in points right now. And I feel like we've said this a couple of weeks in a row. I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but the points still fairly close. You know, Josh Ward only 6 points out of the lead. Braxton DeWeese only 8 points out of the lead. Ellis Thomas quietly putting together a fantastic year here, finishing within the top 5 in the top 10. A lot of the races, just getting those consistent points. He might have something for this points table come the end of the year.
Ellis has looked great. Top 10s in just about every race. I think last week he finished 11th and wasn't able to keep that streak going, but it's showing on the point standings right now. And right now he is 4th, right on the tail of 3 great drivers. And Chris Smith, the big winner last week, was able to move from 4th place up into the lead of the standings after some tough races for Josh Ward and Braxton DeWeese. And this might be another opportunity tonight. Anybody come out here and win this race, any one of the drivers in this field. It levels the playing field out, and it puts Braxton, Josh, and Chris in danger of losing that grasp that they have on the top spots.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, jump to the national anthem, and when we come back, we will be live and ready for action here at Talladega. All right, welcome back. Cars are gridding up as we speak. You see it up there on screen. 2x2, ready to get rolling here in just a moment. Gonna have a lot of good action here tonight, Talladega. A lot of good looking cars out there on grid tonight. We'll get ready. Everybody looks like they've gridded up. Starting on the pole, Scotty Sobczak in that 81 running alongside Justin Wilson on row number 1 here tonight. Josh Ward and Laura Wiseman fill out row number 2. It's going to be Chris Smith, last week's winner, and Adrien Schumacher, Auto Club winner, filling out row 3. Steve Vest, Randy Gross filling out row 4. Row number 5, it's Matt Kuntz and Tom Lickard.
Robert Brost going to be starting 11th, and Rye Jones, a winner this season, starting in the 12th spot. Jeremy Dahl in the 33 car back to start 13th, and Brian Brobst in 14th. Jimmy Moore in the 15th position, and Nathan Gentry in 16th. Zachary Mitchell in his 23 car is going to be starting in the 17th spot, and Ryan Rose, winner of the series so far this year, starting 18th. Brandon Ayers in his 16 car starting 19th, and Evan Janik going to be starting in the 20th position.
Yeah, row number 11, we've got Scott Drost and Paul Thomas lining up side by side here, the 2 and the 42. Row number 12, we've got Cam Gellens and Nick DeCesare. Braxton DeWeese and Evan Pienta opt for the safe route here, hanging out in the back of the field, row 13. We got Johnny Rapp down there starting 28th. Patrick Colby and Peter Stewart fill out row 15. Chase Barry and James Danforth in row 16. Ryan Hinkle and Ellis Thomas starting 33rd and 34th. Justin Lacayo and Patrick O'Toole starting in row 18.
Who's that?
And who are these guys? Sorry, everybody. Me and Sean couldn't quite get ourselves figured into the broadcast booth here tonight. They rolled us cars out. We didn't know what to do. What do I do?
Hauler
with my
driver's
hands,
really
Sean?
pissed, dude. Yeah, made him drive all the way here with our cars, and we're not even racing. A couple things to note tonight. Justin Wilson, your outside pole sitter, got a black flag, so he's going to be starting in the rear. And Sal, I think we got 68 laps of action coming right up.
All right, 68 high intensity, jam-packed laps coming your way. We are coming through the restart zone. And away we go. It's a green flag here from Talladega. Scotty Sobczak surging ahead a little bit on that bottom line. Doesn't look like he's got a ton of help right now. Laura Wiseman going to get out up to a little bit of a lead here on that outside line.
That Richard Petty car looked like Richard Petty going down to turn 1, getting that big push from behind, taking that lead for herself in the middle of the corner. But here comes Scotty Sobczak and that bottom line starting to get their momentum up. Got a little bit of side draft off that 84, and it is a dead heat down the straightaway.
Yeah, and it's going to take these cars about a lap and a half to really get up to maximum speed here in the draft. So as we start this race, going to see a little bit of back and forth, I'm sure, as the field starts to form up and get comfortable with one another. It was interesting to see the grid positions. Some of the drivers we've seen be very dominant this year, opting for the rear of the field, not really pushing themselves to get to the front. And good reason for that, I'm sure. Talladega is known for the big one. Not something that happens on purpose, but it's always a matter of if, not when, as we see Laura Wiseman up here continuing to have a half a nose out, but it's Scotty Sobczak, Josh Ward, Chris Smith on that bottom line trying to work together to get a little bit of a run together, as Steve Vest also joins them on that bottom line. But I feel like we're going to be having this little bit of inch ahead on the backstretch, inch ahead in the center of the corner action. Curious to see when and if Laura Wiseman will get a push out far enough to dip her toe into that bottom line, the front of the field. But here we see Scotty Sobczak fighting back a little bit at a time.
You mentioned it, Sal. The bottom line is way more powerful into the corner and through the center of the corner, and the top line has an advantage down the straightaway. So you're going to see Laura pull out that car length, that nose ahead, coming off of turn 2 and off of turn 4 and down the straightaway. But as we go down into the corner, Scotty Sobczak on that bottom is going to be pulling ahead. So it's like you said, it's a back and forth game throughout the race. But at one point, one of these drivers in either one of these lines is going to get a good bump and clear the other line. So that will be something we have to watch out for. But for right now, Laura and Scotty play nice with each other up front.
Yeah, it is so early in this race. There's so much ebb and flow that we're going to see happen throughout the entire night. Only lap number 3 coming around for lap 4 of 69 laps of this feature race at Talladega here in the Slingshot Racing League in these Oreilly's Auto Part Series cars. I don't know. This is, to me, these are the most fun cars to watch and drive of all of the National Touring Series, especially here at Talladega. There's just things that these cars do that others don't. As we see Scotty Sobczak start to surge ahead again. These guys got to run a speed. There he goes now, jumping up to the high side, blocking the run of the 84 Laura Wiseman. I guess it was time to go. Lap 4 is when we're ready to do it. That's what the 81's thinking. Up there on the high line now, Josh Ward and Chris Smith working together. You see Chris Smith give Ward a great push. Another car we're keeping our eye on way back in the field there, the 52, I believe. That was Johnny Rapp, who was earlier, black flagged earlier, correct, Sean?
Oh, that wasn't Johnny. It was the 58 of...
The 58, I apologize.
Of Justin Wilson. I believe
Justin
they might have given him a EOL because of he had the wrong car number on, which will happen in these leagues. Guys sign up, have the wrong car number already used by somebody else, and they'll get an EOL for it first time around. So... lesson learned by that 58 car of Justin Wilson tonight, but of all the racetracks to get an EOL at, Talladega might just be the one to choose because at any moment he can just drive himself straight to the front.
Well, that's what I was looking at. The 52 of Johnny Rapp was looking like he was making a lane for himself on the outside there, so credit where credit is due. See him moving up through the field a little bit at a time, trying to do a little bit of island hopping from the second lane up. We did have a great move there. Josh Ward, unfortunately, getting shuffled through the sucker hole, back down to that bottom line. Third in line down there behind, I believe it's Steve Vest and Chris Smith. You see Steve Vest pushing that 28 car, trying to get a good run here. Yeah, absolutely. Awfully racy for being so early here in this race at Talladega.
Oh, these guys up front, they're giving each other lots of room and not really dooring on each other's doors and playing nice for these first 5-10 positions. But the guys behind them, as you see, fanning out 3-4 wide throughout the pack, they're in a little bit of a rush as Johnny Rapp pushing, I believe that's Randy Gross. Oh, car in the outside wall. I saw Evan Janik into the outside wall there in that 7 car. First yellow tonight, going to come out on lap 6. We're going to have some cars with some early damage here, Sal.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to get the damage out of the way early. You know it's going to happen at a place like Talladega. It looked like somebody just maybe took a bad bump. We'll get the replay up here, courtesy Slingshot TV.
Looked like Evan Janik got a bad bump from behind by Justin Lacayo. Got into the car on the inside line in front of him. That's going to be the 12 of Jimmy Moore. You see Jimmy come back across the track, those 2 cars into the outside wall hard. Going to be some big damage for the 12 car. Some big damage for Evan Janik and Justin. See the push right there from the 06, just a big push. You know, Evan had lifted for some of the guys in front of him, and Justin just really didn't see it and just kept getting into the back of him, trying to give him that push, and sent Evan sideways down across the inside lane into that back of the 12 car. And then, one final car for good measure. That's Cam Gillens in the 01. We know Cam pretty well, but he's usually not out here racing these guys on a week-to-week basis. Looking forward to a good run tonight. It's not going to go Cam Gillens' way. And he had a tow back to the pits, so I'm pretty sure that 01 car is done for the night.
Yeah, a lot of cars with a lot of damage here. Lap number 7, a caution out. We've got a few drivers heading back to pit lane. Some big damage, fire and brimstone on the backstretch. We'll get everybody fixed up, re-racked under yellow. But it's Steve Vest and Chris Smith working on that bottom line that really caught my attention. Not just that, but the 31 of Randy Gross using that top line alongside of the 52 car, Johnny Rapp. They made up a tremendous amount of track position. We talk about how early do you want to take it 3 wide? How racy do you want to make this race? And how early do you want to do that? I guess there's no time like the present because those guys were really making hay up there on the high line. As we see drivers come down pit road here. Sean, can they make it all the way here on fuel? What is their pit situation here at Talladega tonight?
You most definitely can't make it all the way from here, but you want to pit at every caution leading into that open window. That way, if you come down to make your final stop, you can pit and take as little fuel as possible and shorten up that pit stop. So a lot of the fuel kind of split right now with it being only 6 laps into the race. A lot of guys came down, a lot of guys stayed out. It's going to really shuffle up this pack.
Yeah, it's going to put some new players toward the front of the field, but right now we see Scotty Sobczak, Laura Wiseman, Randy Gross up here, 1, 2, 3. Patrick Colby, first time we've really made mention of him here tonight in the handful of laps that we have run. Matt Kuntz as well. Interesting to see how these new groups work together. It's like putting the new kids in a new classroom at school on the first day. Everybody has to find out how they're going to play nicely with each other in the sandbox. And as these situations rapidly change around them, these drivers are going to want to get this figured out in a hurry to get themselves to the front of the field.
Well, luckily for them, too, they've been racing all season long so far with each other, most of these guys at least, so they kind of already know how some of these guys are going to play. And we got a couple people in the chat, too. You know, it's popping off right now. We got Illinois Muskie, one of our giveaway winners the other week. He said picks to win 82-878. Wow, yeah, you really went out on a limb there, Illinois. Arlen Bay going to be going, let's go, Brian and Robert. And Johnny Rapp saying, use a capital G. I'm not sure what that means, but Johnny Rapp is a man of mystery.
I love that, the 82. The 78 and the 8. 3 winners here this year in the Slingshot Racing League. So very secure picks, I think, if those are the drivers you're rooting for here tonight at Talladega.
That guy takes the over and the under.
covers and hedges his own bets. But no, those are 3 drivers this year that have done fantastically well so far in the Slingshot Racing League. So easy picks to make. As we continue to watch how their seasons will continue to progress. A lot of racing left here in the Slingshot Racing League. About halfway through, just short of halfway, I believe. Talladega being the one that's going to kind of put us near the middle. So lots to look forward to if you're tuning in for the first time here tonight, or you're just getting into what goes on here. Make sure you like and you follow, subscribe. Come back for more.
An untimely yellow there too, Sal, because they were starting to really pick up the pace. You had mentioned Johnny Rapp, and I believe it was Matt Kuntz out there on the high line. I'm sorry, Randy Gross out there making that third lane for themselves, and that will happen when you have these front 2 packs on the bottom and in the middle. They really weren't pushing as hard as they could. They were kind of just riding in line, taking their time, trying to get to the end of this race. And they were pushing very, very hard up there in that third lane, passing cars left, right, and center. And it was only going to take them a half a lap more to get to the front. And it will be interesting to see how quickly that third line forms again, especially after we've had one incident.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if drivers will be more willing to jump up to that high line now that they've seen it work a little bit. Typically, it takes a little bit of time for that to develop, as we were saying, too. You know, unfortunate that we're under yellow kind of early here, but with the way that this field is shuffling around, cars staying out, we'll see exactly how aggressive everybody wants to be and where they can find their friends. And if that top line can develop, get a little 3-wide racing here, we'll be in for a show tonight.
Especially with everybody up for grabs, this race can be won by any one of these guys in this field. And if you've had a couple rough races so far this season, this might be an opportunity for you to turn that luck around and get an easy win and come home with some easy points and move up in those point standings.
Yeah, a great opportunity. The door is open. The window is cracked. Who's going to kick it in or jump through it? Here tonight at Talladega, the pace car is off. It's Scotty Sobczak and Laura Wiseman on the front row, leading us back up here into the restart zone. Forgot how long the front stretch is here. Through the restart zone, Scotty Sobczak gets out to a little bit of a lead here as they get ready to come through the tri-oval and across the stripe to get racing back underway. Lap 9 of 69 here for this group. And again, going to take about a lap and a half to really see everyone get up to speed as we see a little bit of separation And some of these lines here, everybody going to want to fill those gaps up as they come through turn 2 and onto the backstretch. You see Scotty Sobczak has Randy Gross behind him as his pushing partner right now. Scotty going to want to make sure he can try to control as much of these 2 lanes as possible. Try to keep that lead. As we said earlier, the top line seems to have better speed on the straights. Bottom line always seems to have better speed through the corner. Scotty able to really get in there, take control of this lead right now with Randy Gross, Patrick Colby, Robert Probst all on that bottom line. Just Laura Weissman up there on the high line, trying to get Josh Ward up there behind her a little bit. Matt Kuntz as well as Nathan Gentry up in that high line in the vicinity. But I think this is a part of the race where if you're kind of in the middle of the pack here, you know, positions 5 through 12 or 5 through 15, I mean, you're just kind of cruising and waiting to see this thing unfold and letting the race come to you a little bit.
You see that third line already starting to form up there and towards the back of the pack. Chris Smith, Justin Wilson have moved up and are starting to make a little bit of headway. I believe that's Braxton DeWeese that also just moved up in front of them. So Braxton DeWeese going to be pushing that 11 of Brian Brokes. We saw Randy Gross, Johnny Rapp up here earlier, and here we are a lap and a half into this green flag run. And now we got more and more guys getting up into that top line. Chris Smith, does Matthew Kuntz go up in there? I believe pretty soon here, Sal, we're going to have 3 wide for the lead.
And as soon as you say it, the sooner it becomes reality. Josh Ward jumps out from behind Laura Weissman, sees Chris Smith and that train coming on the top line. But
another caution.
Another caution, untimely as ever, as we just were getting some good 3 wide racing cooking up here. We're just as quickly going to slow the field back down.
You're watching the replay here. Seems to be a case of the same players as that first caution, the 06 of Justin Lacayo, getting into the back of Nick Cesare. I'd say that 06 is 2 for 2 on the cautions tonight.
Yeah, let's get a look here on the Slingshot TV replay.
See him here. He's going to pull out to try to pass Jeremy Dahl, and then he's going to come up and just get right into the back of Nick Cesare and spin him right across the front of the back of the pack. As you see the 7 car of Evan Janik also get a small tap and go for a little bit of a spin there. So he's 2 for 2 on being a victim of the 06 tonight. Not a great start for these guys in this race. Evan just came back and got his damage all done and was out there with a clean car. And here he is with another minute and a half to fix.
Yeah, unfortunate. It's the same players bringing out the yellow again. That's 7, a victim of circumstance, so it seems. The good news is you can get some extra time here on pit road, considering how big this track is. Fly up there, get some damage repaired, do what you can while you can, get yourself back out there. As long as you stay on that lead lap, it's really anybody's game come the closing stages of this race here at Talladega. So for all the turmoil you may go throughout the night, it's one that can, close your eyes and the comeback happens in a real hurry.
Especially with the pace laps being so long here, you can get 2 minutes done every single pace lap of damage getting fixed. So, it does take a pretty big nail in your coffin to put you in the ground tonight. But if you're able to, keep that car relatively clean and get through these wrecks with minimal damage, you can keep that up front and stay into the pack. And anything can happen as long as you're in that front pack.
All you got to do is be hanging around, be in the right place at the right time, and the right things seem to happen. We see that a lot in super speedway racing, and I'm sure there's a lot of hungry drivers out here tonight. Drivers looking for their first wins of the season. Some fresh names up in the front half of the field. Ones we unfortunately don't see every week, but it's always great to see them up here when it comes to this specialty type of racing. As we see pit road lighten up, it's busy. As drivers, like you said earlier, Sean, the strategy here is to kind of come down every time until that window happens. This way you're able to kind of shorten your fuel stop up time over time, put yourself in a better place of advantage at the end of this race.
And a lot of the guys that stayed out first caution, they're going to be staying out again. No sense in coming down this soon if you already didn't pit already. And a lot of those guys who came down the very first caution and topped off on field, they're going to be topping off yet again and give themselves maybe a little bit more of an advantage that they had signed up for, 10 minutes ago with that first yellow.
Yeah, hopefully as we see this race go back green, the cautions will fade away and we'll see some 3-wide racing. I mean, we were in great shape to see that top line. Yeah, it was coming with a head of steam. Laura Wiseman, I'm sure, wasn't terribly upset to see that happen because it was Josh Ward who was ready to leave her out to dry there as he jumped up to the top line with a group of cars that just had a full head of steam there. I'm sure that outside line would have had a great run, given the bottom line a great run for their money as they were coming around that next lap, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't. Under yellow we are as we get everybody re-racked and everything back organized to get back racing here. Lap 15 coming around under yellow here this next time by of the 69 laps we'll run here tonight at Talladega.
They're going to be coming around for one lap to go on the caution. The cautions here can be a little steep and a little long, but they actually have made changes to them over the years. Used to be one lap longer, so we're kind of sitting pretty tonight with only 3 laps of yellow per caution. But these guys, they're getting Yancey out there. We saw it with that last restart, 3 wide almost instantly off the bat. We might be setting ourselves up for one heck of a 20 laps here until that pit window does open.
I feel like we're going to see drivers get more and more antsy as the caution laps really give them a shorter and shorter window to get the job done, to make the big move. These moves take time to develop. These runs take time to generate. And if there's opportunities to get yourself in a beneficial position, to get yourself to the front of the field, there's not a run some of these drivers won't take to get themselves there now as the laps continue to click away. Taking a page out of the old Austin Hill book. Never give up a run.
That's very true. And, somebody who hasn't given up many runs so far this race is sitting in the 3rd spot right now, Patrick Colby, in that 87 car. He's up 26 spots from the beginning of this race, and that's what, Sal, 8 green flag laps, so he has really put on those afterburners, and I'm sure staying out on these cautions has helped him gain some extra spots. But to see somebody up to the front that quickly in that form of fashion here early on in this race, he's making a little bit of a statement saying, hey, he's not going down without a fight, and he's going to be a player to win this race tonight, just like he was in Daytona.
Absolutely. We've seen Patrick Colby do some pretty fantastic things on track throughout our season so far. The 87 looking good right now, sitting pretty up there in that 3rd position on that inside line, lined up outside of points hunter, hunting for the points lead, Josh Ward. Josh Ward has had a great season so far as well. A lot of these drivers in the mix, we always have nice things to say about them because they all do run really well here. But I think tonight's going to be a deal where might be able to pull a trick out of their sleeve and see if we can get ourselves a fresh winner here at Talladega. That'll really shake things up.
We've had the 2 quick yellows so far, but neither of them being really big wrecks. So I think once we get to that point where we might have a bigger incident that involves a lot more drivers, then it will calm down. But until then, the intensity is just going to stay high, and here we are. We're going to have 3-4 wide racing here coming up pretty shortly, I have to predict.
Well, if you're in the chat right now, we're getting ready to go back green. Let us know who you think is going to make that big run to the front. In the chat, who are you looking at? Who are you liking? Who are you watching? As we see Scotty Sobczak lead the field through the restart zone, and away they go. He gets a big push from Patrick Colby. Laura Wiseman on the outside. That bottom line really in a rush, ready to go. Scotty Sobczak gets a little bit of a nose out over the 84.
That top line was a little scattered there on that restart. But right now, Chris Smith on the back bumper of that 92. The energy is forming up on that top line. And they're going to be moving themselves to the top here as Josh Ward pulled out to make a move to go 3 wide already. He's going to get help from Johnny Rapp. And here we are going down to turn 3. They're 3 wide.
They're going to get some more help here in the middle as we see cars running up all over the racetrack right now. Line starting to form up. We'll be keeping our eye on that top line as more drivers continue to opt for that high side as we look a little bit further back in the field. But it's still Scotty Sobczak out front here. 2x2, 2 rows back, and then we're 3 wide. Ryan Rose making a charge up that middle lane right now behind Chris Smith. You see the 84 Laura Wiseman surging ahead. Big push there from Chris Smith to get her out and away just enough. So we see the top line, Josh Ward with Johnny Rapp in tow, trying to get the job done down the backstretch. We're going to see Josh Ward nose ahead. There it is, that big run of speed. Johnny Rapp giving great pushes, everybody falling in line to get that line hustling, and they are door to door to door here at Talladega, holding it strong. Everybody holding a great wheel right now as they come back through the tri-oval.
You see that top line lose that little bit of steam in the corners to the 2 lines below them, but going down the straightaway, they should have the advantage. And I'd say next time going down that backstretch, I predict Johnny Rapp's going to give him one hell of a push coming off of turn 2, and they might be able to make a move and clear themselves for the lead. But right now, it is a dead heat between all 3 lines.
Yeah, we see them getting runs and fading a little bit through different parts of the track here. As we know, these cars, these lines have different places they are the strongest. But I wouldn't be stunned if I saw Josh Ward get a big run of speed here over the next lap or 2 with some pushes from the 52 and try to jump down there and take that lead. But it looks like top line losing quite a bit of steam here now.
Your Johnny might be getting hot. Yeah, Johnny might be getting that engine hot behind the 92 after being on his bumper for so long. That seems to be a problem more at the top line, where you have to push harder and push closer to the car in front of you. And you see it. They just didn't work together well for about half a lap, and they lose all that track position that they had gained.
Yeah, unfortunate there. You saw them drop back in kind of a hurry as Josh Ward slips in. Johnny Rapp, Robert Brobst is well back there. Everybody settling down, maybe calming it down, get a little bit of a taste, see how it feels to be on the high line. Can we make it happen? One car still hanging out up there, Brian Brobst. Rye Jones now looking to maybe make a little bit of a move with Justin Wilson on the outside line.
Just not enough cars up there right now at this moment to make that 3rd line work, but Johnny Rapp is going to move himself up there, and now you have 4 nose to tail. That might just be enough as Ryan Rose also makes a move to the top, trying to get to that rear quarter panel of Chris Smith, drag those 2 cars apart and get himself some help, but he is not going to get the help. They're going to go even further outside around him, and here we are 4 wide, very, very tight, coming through turns 1 and 2. A great job right there by everybody to keep it off of each other, but it just did not work out for Rye Jones making that move around the outside. Maybe next time he would decide to push the 78 instead of putting everybody in that position. That could have been disastrous for all those guys right there.
Yeah, that is a big move there for the 91, trying to go way up and around the outside. 78 of Ryan Rose holding a strong wheel there, jumping back down in line as quickly as he could, I think, for his own sanity and everyone's safety. So we saw 4 wide racing there coming across the stripe as that top line continues to try to mix it up and make something happen. Braxton DeWeese now at the top of that line as we'll check back in with the leaders here. Scotty Sobczak, Laura Wiseman, Patrick Colby up here 1, 2, 3 right now, battling for the lead, but it's a fairly even field here as we've seen a little bit of a rise in temperature on that outside, but everywhere else, everyone kind of just sitting back and biding their time. Scotty Sobczak trying to control that field right now as best he can as Chris Smith going to give a big shot to Laura Wiseman as they enter turn number 3. See how much she can get back.
On the wall, Robert Brobst tried to move up in front of the 8 car. Braxton DeWeese got into that wall a little bit, kind of got stuck on it right there and really checked up that very top line. Could have been a big incident yet again, and it is getting pretty hairy up here at the front. Some of these guys making moves 3, 4 wide, and we've almost had a couple incidents already. Very, very tight racing up front.
Yeah, the guys taking big chances kind of early on in this one for me, I think, Sean. It's a deal where 3, 4 wide racing, I feel like you really want to get into that on the final couple of stages. But track position is ever in demand as we watch the 31 of Randy Gross jump up with Braxton DeWeese. 2-car tandem on the outside of Josh Ward and Ryan Rose here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish rows back from that leader. see if they can make something happen here. I think it's just a matter of who you're going to get hooked up with up there on the high line. Is it somebody that you can work with that you're comfortable pushing or being pushed by that isn't going to try to shove you into a bad position? As we see these two cars making a good run up here now. Gross now door to door with Chris Smith on the outside. See Braxton Deweese still pushing. Robert Bropes now joining the party. Third car in line, and two car of Scott Trost as well.
Yeah, you mentioned it, wanting to work with somebody you know is going to work with you. And sometimes you really can't pick and choose that, but you can definitely pick and choose who you don't want to work with. And so a lot of these drivers out there, they'd have maybe 3 or 4 guys that they know they don't want on their bumpers. They know that they don't want in front of them. So I think that also plays a bigger role than deciding who is the car behind you, because sometimes you just have no choice but to go with the car and the push that's coming from behind.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a deposits and withdrawal systems, especially here at Talladega. As you see Braxton Deweese look to jump down there, take it 4 wide.
Ooh,
going on
tight right there.
He gives him a shot into the wall. Gross is up in the wall, able to hold on to it, but that's going to slow that line down significantly. Braxton Deweese, though, now still 3 wide with Schumacher warding himself up on the high line. That's where we get into trouble with this kind of racing. Deweese, though, through that entire cycle, able to get some great track position back. Unfortunately, comes at the cost of that 31 car having to slide up into the wall there, as they were 4 wide for a moment.
Yeah, it should be minimal damage on Randy Gross. He's just going to have to take a deep breath and be glad that wasn't a bigger incident. As you see, Patrick Colby on the blaze through the front of the field. He's going to be the leader at the line this time by job done, number 87 to P1. Took him about 25 laps, maybe about 20 laps longer than he would have liked, but from the back to the front, Patrick Colby, and he's got a whole mess of cars behind him.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of drivers in his office here, as he's going to look in his rearview mirror. He's got Chris Smith now helping him, but it's Laura Wiseman who jumps up to that outside line with Brandon Ayers. We got the 11 of Brian Brobst up there now as well. As we got a lap car coming down, a couple of lap cars coming into view here through turns 3 and 4. We'll see how this pack can navigate as they try to keep it all tidy. Scotty Sobczak just with about a half a nose in front of the 87 of Patrick Colby. Looks like these lap cars going to dive down low here. Not a factor, at least for the moment. Let's stay down on the apron.
That's the 12 car Jimmy Moore. You see that thing crab walking. It is not looking fun to drive. And in front of him was the 33 of Jeremy Dahl. And Jeremy Dahl, Sal, was one of those guys we've seen lose a lot of laps in his races, but somehow he always gets them back and finishes up at the front of these packs. So it'll be interesting to see if Jeremy's able to come on the comeback tonight after losing a lap this early.
Yeah, it's always a challenge when you go down a lap. You try to stay out there, but at Talladega, it's so difficult, especially once you're out of the draft. If I'm Jeremy Dahl, it's almost a relief to see the field fly by me. I can try to hook back up to somebody at the end of the pack if I can scoot through and just kind of hang around in the mix, look for that lucky dog, and restart my night as soon as the next yellow flag flies.
Problems for Chris Smith. We got a blown motor on the high line. I was going to mention earlier who might be a victim of that tonight, and it's surprisingly the number 28 of Chris Smith. He was on the back bumper of Patrick Colby, giving him a push, and it didn't take long. He was only on his bumper for about a lap or 2, and that's going to be a night ender for your points leader. He just took the points lead last week with his first win of the season at COTA, and tonight it's going to go the opposite way. And that opportunity window we talked about, Sal, it is open for Josh Ward. It is open for Braxton Deweese. Hell, it's open for Ellis Thomas. Any of those guys might be able to really gain some big points tonight if they're able to finish up front.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate break for Chris Smith. We've seen such great racing out of him this entire season. You're getting the onboard view right here. You're watching that needle just bounce around. Not able. Car stumbling. Motor blown, unfortunately, in that 28 machine. Comes with the price of being the pusher here, being in lines with long, sustained runs. These things do happen. That water temperature gets up there pretty high and hot.
How lucky is he that there wasn't a third line up there? He was able to get to the top and get out of the pack. Because usually when that does happen this far up in the pack, it is a big, big incident. So great job there by Chris Smith, minimizing the damage. That could have been much, much bigger.
Absolutely. So speaking about things that are getting pretty big up here, the moves by Braxton DeWeese, absolutely slicing and dicing up through the field, using that top line as a tool. As you see him now up here in P2, giving Scotty Sobczak a big push. Left the door open. Patrick Colby coming back through the middle. Braxton get us hate.
You said it. You said it, Sal. Those are some big moves. A block thrown there by the 81 coming off of turn 4 really put Braxton in a bad spot. Gave Patrick Colby the position, but now they're just going to have to re-rack and try to reformulate these runs. After the 28 blowing up his motor, maybe a couple of these guys are going to be without somebody they can trust, somebody that they planned on working with. He's right now sitting on pit road smoking. That's not where they need him to be.
No, not at all, but it's going to leave the window open here for one of these other drivers tonight. We've got quite the mix up here at the front. It's Matt Kuntz up in the lead right now. Adrien Schumacher, his drafting partner, down there on the bottom line. Scotty Sobczak and Patrick Colby working pretty well with one another. This group of 5 cars, you could throw a blanket over them right now as they push their way off into turns 1 and 2. See a little bit of movement coming from the middle back of the pack. That's Rye Jones making a big run of speed up the middle lane. Going to dip down here, get to that yellow line. As he gets his nose cut there just a little bit by the 06. Saw the run coming, wanted a little piece of that. Rye Jones, though, on his way back to the front.
Yeah, we saw Matt Kuntz at Daytona actually lead a lot of laps, and since then he really hasn't been somebody who's been up front in contention for wins. But after running super good at Daytona, leading up front, led a lot of laps out there, here he is at Talladega up front yet again. That 13 car might be a little bit of a sleeper plank racer. He's done a great job tonight. He has worked himself to the front of this pack, hasn't really put himself in any of those hairy positions we've seen a lot of these other guys in. And patience, it might just pay off for him.
Yeah, he's just going to stay patient down there on that bottom line. He knows there's pressure on the top line coming from Scotty Sobczak, Patrick Colby right now. That whole line, everybody getting a little case of the back and forths, trying to keep her straight coming off of turn number 2. Trying to stay in line, stay in that draft, get that run of speed. As you see these cars, these front 6 now fighting at the front. That's Tom Lickert. Superspeedway Racing suits him just fine here at Talladega, running up at the front. That's Brian Bropes as well in that 7th position. It's anybody's guess right now who could get the big run, try to take it 3 wide. You see Brandon Ayers and Laura Wiseman a little further back in the field, jumping up to the 3rd line, seeing if they can get anybody to go with them. But it's a gamble here as we continue on. Lap number 32 of 69 from Talladega.
At 32, that's also a pretty big number there, Sal. We're going to have pit stops looming, and right about now is that time in the run where you want to start thinking about that. And real quick, to some people in the chat, we got MRF saying, who was buying the beer? What do you mean? You didn't think you supposed to bring the beer tonight, MRF? We got Let's Go Braxton D. Weeze out of Weezer. We got Let's Go Schumacher, found a hole and took it. And how many crashed so far out of MRF? Well, we've only had a couple crashes, small crashes so far. But I think there might be a big one looming towards the end of this deal.
Yeah, if all signs point to a big one, as we've come to be accustomed to at Talladega, no matter who's racing out there on track, there just comes a point in the race where you need somebody out of your way, and it's time to let them know that you're at their back door, and oftentimes that turns into a little bit of a mess. So we'll see how it all unfolds here, but for now, everybody keeping it pretty straight. The 2 cautions we've had here tonight, more racing incidents than big wrecks happening toward the back of the field. Just a few pushes gone awry, but, you know, nothing too hazardous as we see Scotty Sobczak and Patrick Colby drifting up to that high line. Going to give the 5 car Robert Bropes an opportunity along with Justin Wilson, Brandon Ayers, and Braxton DeWeese to get a 4 car line going, and they're going to leave them all behind here in the middle lane.
Yeah, Scotty Sobczak and Patrick Colby, they're going to go from about 1st to 2nd all the way back to maybe even outside the top 20 in half of a lap. A little bit of a bad push there. The line lost a lot of steam halfway down the straightaway, and that 5 car took advantage of it. He's got Justin Wilson, who was your outside pole sitter, got an EOL at the start of this race, and here he is at the front of this pack, making that EOL pretty much irrelevant to his night. As as he's going to take the run around the outside of Robert Bropes, who pulls down in front of Matthew Kuntz, and they're going to be your battle for the lead into turn 3.
That's one of my favorite parts about watching these races, calling these races at Talladega. The front 4, the front 6, it's like, who's it going to be? Whack-a-mole every single lap. As these drivers continue to make runs, it's Braxton DeWeese, Scotty Sobczak, Patrick Colby trying to do these boys one better up here on the outside line now with Wilson Ayers. That's the 2-car of Scott Drost in that middle line. Robert Bropes might have been the biggest recipient of that run, of that little mistake, as he's going to be able to stick himself down there on that inside line, putting himself in a good position. Made up a lot of spots there, going to be able to stick around at the front of this field right now. The pack coming around here right now on the 12 of Jimmy Moore. Jimmy, again, was involved in an earlier wreck, a innocent bystander for the most part. Took a big knock. Been crab walking around this track, just trying to get himself back in shape here tonight. You can hear him on the headset. He's waving out the window.
Yeah, he just needs the yellow to come down and get some damage fixed, and it's just not coming out for him right now. He's going to be 2 laps down on the road. A tough night so far for that 12 car, who has been quite impressive in these races that he has done so far this year. Just luck did not go his way tonight.
Yeah, not quite the way he wanted it to be, and unfortunately the yellow flag's not really falling his way at the moment, but not to say that there won't be an opportunity later on in this race for him to kind of get back some of what he's lost as we continue to see Robert Bropes in that 5 car. We talk about the Bropes boys out here each and every week, always getting pretty good runs of speed. I think super speedways, I believe, have suited them well in the past. That 5 car working up there at the front of this field, like doing it with his eyes closed, able to work with Matt Kuntz right now, as well as Justin Wilson to his outside on that high line. But again, we're going to see another line for him. The 3rd line watch happening here tonight on Slingshot Racing, in the Slingshot Racing League. You see Braxton DeWeese, Rod Jones, Patrick Colby. These guys like working with each other. I don't know where they're going to go
that
tonight.
3rd line.
They're going to the front. Absolutely. Big, giant run. Massive run for those 3 cars. Is Braxton DeWeese going to put a little bit of a nose out? He's going to be in the lead here coming down the backstretch.
Here comes that pack as Braxton moves down in front of Justin Wilson. They might be the first guys tonight we've seen, Sal, that have really been able to use that 3rd line and go all the way to the front with it. We've seen them get to those front 2 lines, but they just haven't been able to clear them, and there was the first time I think we've seen a huge run out of that 3rd lane that's benefited somebody and gotten them the lead to the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just who are you comfortable with? And those 3 drivers able to really get nose to tail, give each other some really nice square pushes, stay nose to tail in that draft on that high line. We know what that speed looks like, and we just saw it on display right there for Braxton DeWeese. Unfortunate that Rod Jones, Patrick Colby not able to make that move along with him. Patrick Colby slips back down into that 2nd line there behind the 11 of Brian Bropes. That'll put him back around the top 10 position at the moment. Rod Jones still hanging tight up there on the high line, but it's up to the leaders here now. Braxton DeWeese, Robert Bropes in that bottom line. Justin Wilson fighting back hard on the high side with Brandon Ayers. Well, Scott Drost up there. So we are pushing and pushing and pushing. The laps are clicking on by. Lap 39, this time past the checkered flag. Are we thinking about fuel yet, Sean? What's the situation with that?
Most definitely you're thinking about fuel. You knowing that pit stop is looming, and as these laps tick away, it's getting closer and closer. So at this point in the run, you probably have your pit stop set up, and now you're just trying to work out the definite number so you're not coming in and pitting by yourself. Just like we saw on the Daytona 500 a couple weeks ago. You want to have friends when you come down pit road. You saw Bubba Wallace come in and pit with 2 or 3 cars only, and it cost him the race. So you're going to have to see, which guys work together, which packs come down together, and which ones are able to get up to speed and get that run.
And part of this pit strategy, as these drivers start to think about when it's time to come for fuel, getting to that bottom line. You can't pit from the high side, so it'll be interesting to see how patient the bottom line drivers right now want to be, what kind of runs we'll see from the outside line. If there's a time to get yourself to the lead and down to that bottom line, this is it, especially if you're going to need that pit stop here in just a handful of laps, as we just see Justin Wilson get a big push from Brandon Ayers there to get out to the lead. Braxton DeWeese giving him a big shove in the back now down the backstretch. Robert Probst tight in tow, but Ayers and Drost up on the outside. Absolutely getting a monster run with Evan Janik behind them.
I mean, you can pit from the top, Sal, but it just usually doesn't work out. So you definitely want to make room and find yourself on the bottom coming off of turn 4. And we've seen a lot of cars actually bail and go to the bottom while you were explaining that. And now we got Braxton DeWeese making his way back up to the top, trying to take this lead back over for himself before he has to fight his way back to the bottom to make his pit stop.
Yeah, I don't think Braxton's too worried about pitting right now, at least from that aggressive move up to the high line. As we see Wilson and Probst up here on the bottom line at the front, trying to push each other out here as hard as they can. Tight grouping here for this front 4 really mostly, as they're going to continue to push these lap times as we come around here for lap 41. We're definitely in that window. It's going to be time here in just a couple of minutes. But Justin Wilson fighting hard back on the bottom line, going to be the leader this time around after that big move, trying to get that run on the top from Braxton DeWeese. See Brandon Ayers.
And asked one of the drivers in this race, they still have about 15 laps of fuel left. That's plenty of time to get yourself to the bottom. And that's still not all the time in the world here at Talladega. So I expect around lap 50 to 55, we're going to have everybody coming down. And from there, you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see the front lines here start to break apart a little bit coming off of turn 2. A lot of shuffling around as DeWeese now finds himself on the bottom with Robert Probst, Matt Kuntz, and it's Brandon Ayers out to the lead of this race with Justin Wilson and Scott Drost giving him a push from behind.
Seems like the pack has calmed down just a little bit. These guys are maybe starting to try to save a little fuel and ride in line until that green flag pit stop. But one car that I do see up there in that top 5, Evan Janik, back up to the front of this pack. He's got wrecked twice tonight by the same guy. Got wrecked twice, got all his damage fixed, got through the pack, and here he is with a clean car in contention to win this race.
Absolutely. Evan Janik, good looking piece he's got here tonight, running on that top line right now. Brian Probst at his bumper. Adrien Schumacher, another fast car here tonight behind him. Just heard over the radio, Laura Wiseman going to come down and pit this time. So maybe a little bit of a short pit strategy here. Wonder who will come with her, as we saw that big push there down the backstretch. Brandon Ayers holding on to her with Justin Wilson in hot pursuit, trying to push him out.
Don't forget, Sal, a lot of guys did not pit under those first couple cautions. You might have 4 or 5 people that did not pit at all, just like this 84. And if this 84 had not been down pit road yet tonight, to right about that time where she's going to need to pit.
Unfortunately for Laura, it's a situation where she's going to come out way out of the draft here. Unfortunately, going to have to make a couple of runs by herself. Yeah, it's just a rough place to feel like you're in. You know you're good the rest of the way, but if cars do pit together now in front of you, they're going to come around you like a freight train at some point. So we'll see how that all works out for Laura. But it's Evan Janik. You were just talking about him, Sean, up to the lead now.
Some more cars coming down. The 87 to Patrick Colby. I believe that's Matt Kuntz into 13, also coming down and making their pit stops. This is going to help Laura out. 3-4 other cars coming down and pitting the next time around. She should be fairly close to these guys when they come off pit road. As the strategies start to take place, I don't believe any of these guys came down and pitted under those cautions we had earlier. And this is the flip side to it. You stay out under cautions early in this race for track position, you're going to have to come in and take that fuel before everybody else. While the big pack's out there running around for another 10 laps, these guys are going to have to be in line. They're going to have to be working together, and they're going to have to go faster than that big pack.
Absolutely. Going to be a challenge here as we continue to see the drivers at the front of this pack still mixing it up. Brian Probst now your leader. Evan Janik behind him. Adrien Schumacher up there on that outside line with the 5 car of Robert Probst behind him. Brandon Ayers, Justin Wilson, the 99 of Tom Lickert also in the mix still, as we've continued to see these cars battling up there for the lead. Everybody, whatever fuel they have left, they're burning it up. Nathan Gentry and I believe that's the 31 of Randy Gross now trying to work together, catch up to Tom Lickert up on that high line. Rod Jones as well in the hunt. I feel like nobody's ever really out of this until they run out of fuel or they hit the wall, because of the situation where you can suck right back up to the car in front of you here in the draft and get a good run. Anything can happen. As we see the field coming around here through turns 3 and 4. Back around to Laura Wiseman, who's going to, I'm sure, just scoot out of the way here as the two-line freight train comes running down the track.
Her lap back for a time being after these guys come down and make their pit stop. So it's not the end of the world for Laura. She's going to want these guys to come down, make their pit stops under green, and then catch a caution, which right now looks like it probably will happen.
Yeah, the way we've seen some of the aggression up here at the front, it's all going to come to a head here at some point as you see the field start to drift up high there away from that bottom line. They'll get up in and around Laura here. We're going to do her best just slip back in line here. She's going to be able to slip back in line here, not one where she's going to end up at the back of the pack. She's going to find a home right there in front of Rod Jones.
Great save there by Nathan Gentry. When that lap car is on the bottom, everybody's going to have to move up a lane or two to get around her. And right now, that it looked like that one car was just not playing ball with giving the 91 a lot of room to get around the 84. And a little bit of contact there could have really given her the caution that she needed. As we are 3 wide up at the front of this pack, the 31 of Randy Gross kind of sticked his nose out to the top around Tom Lickert. That neuters that run that second line gets, and that's going to play into Adrien Schumacher out front. He's going to be able to have a comfortable lead going down the back.
Yeah, that top line there, Gross just trying to side draft off of Tom Lickert in the 99, doing nothing but slowing him down there. Schumacher loving what he sees in his rearview mirror. He's got a good partner there in Brian Brobst. The Brobsts running side by side, the 5 and the 11, Robert and Brian, I apologize, running up here in the second row. Robert making a run here now for the lead himself with Tom Lickert. These drivers going to have to decide what they want to do here soon, but for now, ton of fun just to watch them sparring back and forth for position. You see Randy Gross there looking to goes way up the hill. He likes that top lane for whatever reason. He's not afraid to go up there, even if it's all by himself, Sean. Seen him do this on a number of occasions tonight, and the reason he keeps going back is because seemingly it works. He's door-to-door with Tom Lickert right now.
It's good for a couple spots, definitely towards the back of the pack. But right now, when he makes that move, he kind of wants that one car to go with him, and the one car is just not playing ball with that 31's ideas at the moment. Especially after that save a couple laps ago, I imagine Nathan Gentry just wants to get to this pit stop nice and smooth and get some track position out of that.
Absolutely. You see him jump down there to the bottom line now behind Justin Wilson, telling the 31 effectively, hey, Randy, this isn't for me, bud. I don't want to go all the way up the hill, get around these guys on the outside. So Randy Gross will have to find a new dancing partner if he wants to try to make that move work here before the pit cycle. But it's still Adrien Schumacher out here running this race up at the front. Everybody just trying to run as clean as they can, get themselves in a good position to come down pit road here and make something happen.
So that pack of cars that pitted a couple laps ago, that includes Scotty Sobchak, Patrick Colby, Josh Ward, they're out there about 7 seconds in front of these leaders, but they're matching those lap times. They may be just a little tick slower sometimes, but at the moment, the times are fairly similar. So once these guys come down and make their pit stops, they should all be fairly close to each other. What that pack doesn't want to do is run much slower than this big pack to where they lose touch with them after the pit stop cycle.
Yeah, it's going to be a game of chess here on fuel when the field does finally decide to come down. But great that they're able to maintain those lap times for the time being. I mean, being able to do that with only a handful of cars versus, the entire field is quite a feat to be able to do at this stage of the race. It's going to put them all in a great position to get a run to the front of the pack here and be leaders toward the closing stages of this race. See Randy Gross going up there again. Not
There
quite
won't be
the
many
luckiest.
laps to go either after that pit stop cycle. Here we are with under 20 laps to go right now as your leader, Adrien Schumacher, comes down off the banking, making that pit stop. Not going to have the world behind him following down pit road as the 33 of Jeremy Dahl comes in with a little bit of a half spin. Same thing for Scott Droost behind them. Both of them seem to really get sideways entering pit road, and that's kind of not what Adrian wanted to see, most definitely.
Yeah, at least he's got a couple of partners now, but it's that was quite the hot entry onto pit road there. Whoa, Tokyo drifting dirt track style. Keeps it from hitting the wall, though. He was sideways for a hot minute. Oh, got a little bit of help.
Contact. Maybe. And guess who it is? The number 06. He's 3 for 3 tonight. He right there getting into the back of Scott Droost, but it might not have been his fault either. Scott was up front, kind of getting into those brakes halfway up above the yellow line. Not much that Justin Lacayo could have done, but the bad night continues to get worse for that 06 as we have more takers coming down pit road this time by.
Yeah, going to get a big group here coming down and around this time. It's now or never. As you said, Sean, we're under 20 laps to go. Big group coming in here right now, getting themselves topped off with some fuel. Be interesting to see
Brandon
here.
Ayers slid through his box a little bit. Well, we also have Johnny Rapp, Brian Rose, Nathan Gentry, a lot of the guys that were up front at the front of this pack coming down for that pit stop.
And right now, back at the front of the field, your leader at the moment, Evan Pienta. Again, there's still cars in the pit cycle needing to get down pit road right now. You hear drivers shouting back and forth one another on the headset right now, letting them know, hey, I got to get down. I got to get to pit road. I need this now. As we're going to see another group here just jump way down, almost the entire bottom line, getting themselves down pit road. This is a great size group. See Ropes there coming in with Evan Janik as well in that 7 car. The 99 as well coming down pit road. I believe that's Braxton DeWeese back there. Randy Gross. A good group here trying to get themselves in a good position to run into the deep part of this race here. And that deep part of this race is coming very shortly. Get on board here with Ellis Thomas tonight as he's going to come out with Braxton DeWeese right in front of him. So maybe we'll see Ellis throw a little bit of magic into the mix here as he comes off pit road.
So your winners coming off of pit road right now at the moment, Justin Wilson, Rye Jones, have really taken off and got themselves ahead of this front pack by about 2 or 3 seconds. But not far behind them is the main pack, all nice and tight together, including that first takers down pit road, including Josh Ward and Patrick Colby. They are in this main pack, so kudos to them. They were able to come down pit much earlier with slower pit stops and able to get out there with the main pack when it's all said and done. It's not over yet, but right now we got 2 guys way out in front of the rest of the field taking a little bit of a different strategy in their stops.
Yeah, we still see a handful of drivers here coming off of pit road right now. Going to be really interesting as we watch it's tough to tell. The field's getting ready to fly by. Drivers able to get off pit road. Where are they going to be able to get off pit road and merge back in? This is like highway traffic on a Friday afternoon. As we see that car on the nose here right now, getting a look. You see those slow cars down there on the apron getting ready to get back up here and get racing again. They want to stay with this group. They want to stay with this pack, keep all of that momentum, but it's a full head of steam for the rest of the field as they come charging down. Everybody playing nice right now, though. One big separated line of cars. I'm sure we're going to get everybody all grouped up back here in just a couple of laps. If there's any time to make your move, you want to start thinking about it now. Lap 55 of 69 here at Talladega.
Yeah, it won't be long till we see 2-3 wide racing at the front of this pack, but right now these laps are super important to establish some track position. You saw Evan Pienta really have a great pit stop last time around and had some speed coming off of pit road. He just now finally gets caught by that 58 of Justin Wilson and Rye Jones behind him. And as we see them forming up, now it's going to be one big pack yet again.
One big pack, one big happy family of Oreilly's cars running down the backstretch at Talladega. You see everybody starting to get themselves in a position. As Rye Jones working with Justin Wilson there on the bottom.
car sideways in the middle of the pack there. He's going to save it for the moment. No, we're going to have a yellow on the speedway. Believe that might have been Tom Lickert getting into an incident there. Gonna have to go back and watch that. And bring it up here on the replay. Very heavy hit. See, he bounced off the 31 there and then goes down the track and into, of course, Jeremy Dahl, the ultimate victim tonight. It's been in a couple incidents so far. And it all started with getting around that 31 car, Randy Gross. The car just got loose. The back end just started walking around on him. And from there, the tank slapper ends off the side of the 31 and into the side of the 33. And that's going to be a 3-car incident. And you might have seen Josh Ward there at the very tail end with getting a little piece of that as well. That's gonna spell a lot of danger for him in the point standings.
It's going to be interesting to see how much damage he did collect there. Tom Lickert, though, when you look back at that incident, you think, what's Tom doing? Once the car starts to step out on you as you're trying to get around a lap car on the high line, if you're unfamiliar with the way these cars handle, if you haven't been on this track and this new model in this car, I mean, it's like hitting ice in some of these passing areas where the air packs up just a little differently, and as you're trying to do something that you think is pretty mundane, things can get squirrely in a hurry. And I think that's kind of what happened with Tom Lickert right there. He had been running a great race here all night long, really putting on a little bit of a show up there with the group that he was running with, the top 6, the top 8 drivers for the middle part of the race. But unfortunate for him that it's come to a point where he's just got to make a tough move around a lap car on the high side, and doesn't really work out for him. Hopefully he doesn't collect points. Right, a guy running down the points right now, Josh Ward. I mean, that's a tough deal if he's got more damage than he should. But we'll have to wait and see here as we're under caution. Pace car out right now.
You mentioned it, Sal. That's a hard car to get control of at a certain point. With them being so heavy, you get a little bit loose, and that weight starts transferring back and forth with every turn of the wheel. And at one point, it's just going to lose control of it. And he bounced off the 31 on the top line, and that's just going to send him for a ride. Tough break there for Tom Lickert, who you just said was having a great run up front in the front of this pack tonight.
Yeah, just a challenge to see that. You know, from our vantage point, trying to call this race, unless you've raced here, it looks fairly mundane, but I can assure you, Tom Lickert, he was working that wheel, seesawing and hee-hawing behind the wheel, trying to save that thing, but tight quarters here at Talladega, things like that happen in the blink of an eye.
And we saw it there, Sal, that 92 of Josh Ward get involved in that wreck, and so did the 81 of Scotty Sobchak. They are both coming back down pit road to get more damage fixed. Those cars are pretty beat up here at the moment. Not sure how much they're carrying, not sure how bad it is at the moment, but it doesn't look good for either one of them.
Yeah, not a great place to find yourself with damage at this stage of the race. We've seen damaged cars get to the front and win races here, but it'll be really be curious to see just how much they've incurred over the last run there with that little bit of an incident.
And we just saw it last Sunday
in
at Atlanta, right, Sal? Tyler
Absolutely.
Reddick took a lot of damage to victory lane for his second win in the row. But right now, I just see the front tire of that 81 facing the wrong direction. It has me thinking otherwise. 91 might be, I mean, the 92 of Josh Ward might be in pretty decent shape, but that 81 is pretty beat up. But that just creates that opportunity to close in on these guys who were the front runners in that point standings.
Yeah, we were joking this past week. If cars can be as fast as Tyler Reddick with no fender, we might see a field of modifieds out at Phoenix for the next one. You know, no body over top of that wheel for Tyler Reddick winning that race this weekend. Maybe kept the tire just a little cooler. I don't know, something different. But getting the job done with a pretty beat up race car. And we've seen that at Talladega time after time as well. You know, in the real series and in iRacing, you can come across the checkered. Get the checkered with, you know, just parts hanging off, duct tape shining in the sun, body panels blowing in the breeze. Just depends on if you can get yourself in that position to take advantage in the final laps. you'd like to lead them all, but you really only have to lead the one that matters. And that's coming up here in just 10 laps now as we continue under caution right now as the field tries to get themselves gridded back up side by side, re-racked. It'll be Robert Brobst and Justin Wilson starting on that front line. Braxton DeWeese and Rye Jones behind them. We talked about Ellis Thomas. There he is, third car in line on the bottom row. To the outside of him is Evan Pienta. 11 of Brian Brobst there as well with James Danforth. A lot of these drivers have just been waiting in the wing all night long to get the job done. And here they are in a position to do that. Survive the first, 59. Race the last 10. Might be the right move. Who knows? We'll see how it all plays out here. So we got some really fast race car drivers out here tonight ready to make the moves. I'm curious to see that 3-wide racing come back into play. Exactly how they think that's going to work out for them in the late stage.
With 10 laps to go, Sal, if you're going to get it done, you got to start getting up there pretty soon. And right now, like you said, Ellis Thomas, Evan Pienta, James Danforth, a couple of those guys that we haven't seen up front that were riding in the middle and behind the back of the pack, taking their time early in the race, opting for that strategy. Here they are, 10 laps to go, inside the top 10, in position to get a win.
Yeah, in a position to get a win. We'll see who can go out there and get that win. You see everybody getting tightened up here. Robert Brobst, though, who's going to lead them back through the restart zone, and away they go. Brobst getting a great jump there on the bottom line. So we see the 58 checking up just a little bit there. Wilson almost looked like Rye Jones had to check up for him just for a moment. Everybody shifting their way up through the gears here, doing what they can. As you see Brobst running up to the top side there and back in front of Justin Wilson. So started on the bottom, got the run, jumps right back to the top, leaves Braxton DeWeese, Ellis Thomas, and Brian Brobst now on the bottom to work with one another. Top line, it's Robert Brobst, Justin Wilson, Rye Jones, and Evan Pienta running nose to tail at the moment.
You saw Robert kind of jump up to that second line after the bottom really didn't have their energy together. They really weren't all that close to each other. And coming off of turn 4, Justin Wilson trying to make that move to the inside of Robert Brobst. Robert might have left that door a little open there. Here we go. Contact in the front of the pack. It's going to take out multiple cars in the top 10, the top 5. You see Ellis Thomas, Patrick Colby, Robert Brobst in the 5. A big incident, and I believe that might be the big one tonight, Sal.
Yeah, sure looks like it could be the big one coming through the tri-oval right at the start-finish line. We see a lot of wrecks there going for the win, but just trying to get track position here. We're going to see it start to materialize, I think, back there. One of those red cars, the 11 or the 38, I believe, is they're getting into the tri-oval here. The 38 of Ellis Thomas just drifts up there. Maybe he catches a little apron, not able to hold on to the wheel, gets up into the left rear quarter panel of Robert Brobst, just sends him for a spin. Robert actually able to hold on to it pretty all right, but it's Ellis who ends up getting door slammed here. Patrick Colby getting hit hard. A lot of cars with a lot of damage. The 5, though, able to kind of skate away here with maybe just a big dent in the left rear of that one, but could have been a lot worse as we see cars collected throughout the field here. I believe Rye Jones, Evan Pienta running around there with no hood on the car. Everybody just trying to keep it in one piece. Take another look at that incident right now at full speed. You see them coming down just in the blink of an eye. It can happen so quickly at Talladega Superspeedway.
That car gets so tight through the tri-oval there, especially on the bottom with the line right above you. And you see it out of that 38, just walked up half of a lane, gets into the back of the 5 car. There's so many cars involved in this wreck. You see the 06 of Lacayo and another one tonight, Ryan Hinkle. I see 55 of Pienta, Patrick Colby, Nathan Gentry, Nick DeCesare, Ryan Brobst. All of these cars carrying a good amount of damage the rest of the way home.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to sit on board here with Brandon Ayers as he was coming around right behind the action. You see it just unfold as he goes for a ride down here, trying to save it. Oh, and he able to keep it off the wall. He skates out and away. But the rest of the field just checking up, trying to get themselves clean and clear. Looks like Matt Kuntz is doing all right. He just doesn't have too much damage based on what we're seeing here on the replay. Ryan Jones hit that wall pretty heavy too. So some fast cars with a lot of damage. A lot to look at on that wreck. The big one, probably, hopefully we don't get one bigger than that. That took out quite a few cars here tonight. It's going to put Braxton DeWeese up here to the front with Justin Wilson. Robert Probst, for his amount of involvement there, getting knocked around there initially in that wreck, able to keep it up there in third position.
Yeah, Ryan Rose involved in that deal, the 11 car. Brian Probst, the 31 of Randy Gross, also involved in that big crash. And your big winners up front, Braxton DeWeese, Justin Wilson. The front two cars are the only two guys in front of that crash when it kicked off. So they're feeling pretty lucky right now. And Robert Gross behind him has a little bit of damage on that car, but he's taking that track position. He's going to be starting in third on the inside. Rye Jones got through it in that 91, and right next to him is Brandon Ayers, that car we were on board with, sliding down to the inside wall. He's going to be restarting in the fifth position. I'm counting about 8 or 9 cars that don't have damage here at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to pay dividends for those cars that were able to keep it clean through that wreck. That little bit of aerodynamic advantage could give them just that little bit extra, little bit extra oomph they need to get that run, stay in that draft, and get the job done here late. Lap 62 of 69. We're still under yellow. Go back green here, I believe, next time by. It'll be a shootout here at Talladega. I mean, if there is no more time left, as soon as you are able to find a gap to get a run, you have to go. Braxton DeWeese sitting in the hot seat right now, though, with a hungry group of drivers here behind him.
You see it right there on the screen, that 91 car starting in fourth. He's got a lot of damage. So all the guys starting behind him on that outside line, they have to take note of that and work their way around him as soon as possible. And he's going to be a little bit of a chink in the chain here for these guys up at the front. He's going to be causing a little bit of mayhem as that outside line gets up the speed. I expect these guys on the inside to kind of carry away with a little bit of speed coming off of turn 2 and fight it for it amongst themselves.
Yeah, I see a lot of rear end damage on that 91. I could have swore I seen him hit the inside wall there on that restart. But if it's enough, if you could control that wheel, that meatball flag ain't flying. Maybe sticking around and being able to control that car. If Rod Jones can handle it, we'll see if it gives him that track position he's been looking for all night long. Right now, running up there in the top 5.
Well, if I'm James Danforth and I'm Johnny Rapp up there in that top line and I see that 91 a couple cars in front of me, I'm making big note of that. They're definitely not going to be wanting to push that car around because he doesn't have a bumper to push. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this restart shakes out with all these cars towards the front of this pack that might have some damage, including the 5 and the 16 there on the bottom. A lot of these guys didn't opt for coming down pit road and getting it fixed. So it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag here between the guys that are clean and the guys that might have a little bit of aerodynamic difficulties, as we can call it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We've got them in all shapes and sizes out here now on the racetrack in terms of who's got damage, who's got speed, and who's trying to have a little bit of both. So we see the pace car pull off, the rest of the field wrapping themselves back around to the rear here. We saw them all coming around pit road, but at the front, it's Braxton DeWeese, Justin Wilson. Braxton will bring us up through the restart zone. Green flag is out, and away we go. For the final 6 laps of Talladega here in the Slingshot Racing League, DeWeese out to a great start. Robert Probst in tow behind him in the draft. Didn't see too big of an issue there on that outside line for Rye Jones. As we see Danforth and Rapp make that exact move you talked about, Sean. Moving up to that high side, not wanting to push through him. As we see Jones start to fade back just a little bit. Danforth and Rapp working really well together, trying to get up to the rear bumper, the 16 of Brandon Ayers. See, we're on board now, too, on that high line. Other takers, people ready to get that move made. That's Johnny Rapp we're on board with right now. As he continues to push around the top. We've seen that work a little bit here tonight. Checking it out here, too. They've got 1 more, 2 more, 3 more coming behind them, I'm sure, over the next lap and a half here. So we still have Braxton DeWeese leading this race, but for how long? As we're going to go 3 wide for the lead going through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was 5 laps to go last time around. Braxton DeWeese, one of the fastest cars week in and week out, trying to steal the show here at Talladega. And some of these other guys behind him trying to use it as an opportunity. As you see, Justin Wilson getting a big push from Brandon Ayers. And here comes James Danforth and Johnny Rapp at the very top. Johnny Rapp was one of those first guys we saw using that third line tonight. And here he is trying to do it yet again. But they lose a little bit of steam coming through turns 3 and 4, and that's going to leave Justin Wilson and Brandon Ayers alone up there at the front in the middle.
Yeah, that all works out in the end. Those cars jump down to that middle line there. Schumacher getting the tough end of that deal as he had 2 cars jump down in front of him, just not able to get enough of a run of speed to stay up behind the 16 as Danforth and Rapp look like they have a ton of speed. Schumacher now going to look to fight back on the outside. Doesn't like what he sees on the outside line right now. Going to stay with the 52. So we see the 06 up there on the high line, doing a little side drifting down, trying to get Laura Wiseman in tow. As they're going to try to make a run to the front here. Oh, Brandon Ayers.
Brandon Ayers getting into Kuntz, and there goes Danforth around. Big wreck in the middle of the pack. Lacayo in the 06. Patrick O'Toole. Matthew Kuntz involved as well. That is a second big one tonight. A whole bunch of different players involved in that deal. A whole bunch of the guys that were towards the back of the pack working their way up through the front. Just didn't mesh when they got to the front there. You see Johnny Rapp just getting into the back of James Danforth just a little bit. And this was after the big contact in the middle of the pack that kind of shuffled all these guys around. And it just continued for another couple hundred yards. So you see Peter Stewart with big contact with the outside wall. The 44, Terry Labonte up in the air. The 06 with big contact in the wall. He's 4 for 4 on the yellows tonight. Lacayo in the 06.
A lot of damage. A lot of damage.
Gary involved as well in the 46. Oh, man, Sal. We're not going to have anybody left.
Yeah, they're gonna be drag racing out here by the time we're done tonight, I think. A lot of damage cars. See Ryan Rose absolutely getting obliterated that front end there. Tough ride for Peter Stewart. I mean, I can only imagine what he must have seen out the front window of that, hearing the carnage happen around him and then just getting turned in a split second and looking at that wall out his front window. An unfortunate one for Peter. I think he's the most unfortunate of the victims of that wreck. Just the first one to get banged around and just collects the whole field. Tough when you got cars broadside on the middle of the racetrack, one way or another. But Brandon Ayers, who had made some contact with Matt Kuntz up there in an unrelated kind of bit of contact, both of them still able to continue up here. These cars still fighting for every inch that they've got. At least the ones we've got left out here. They're going to try to make some. So we've seen cars making big moves. They're not trying to make big moves. They are making big moves now. And the time is happening now. I believe we're going to go to green, white check or no, overtime.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have overtime kicked off. And what do you think, Sal? I think it's about time to give away our die cast for the night.
Absolutely. There's no time like right now.
All right. Well, your big winner tonight's going to be MRF 9080. You are the winner tonight. You've been in the chat from the beginning, been cracking jokes, been putting some easy bets in there as well. He's going to be coming home tonight with that Zane Smith and diecast.
A good piece to take home. I believe that was a truck diecast too. So good piece for the collection there. Congratulations. Get it up on the wall. Been a lot of good diecasts out there lately. That's a conversation for another time. But all the collectors out there have been licking their lips the last couple of weeks. So always good to add one to the collection. We give those diecasts away. Diecast card packs, anything that comes across the desk, we try to get back out to you, the fans at home here, Slingshot TV. So tune back in on Wednesday nights to be a part of those. Give them out the rest of the week as well. In the Slingshot Racing Series. So interesting to see Braxton DeWeese up here at the front. Saw he was a big winner in the late model race here on Monday night. Not here, but here in terms of Slingshot Racing on Monday night. They do that late model series. Was walked that one off. So guys able to wheel it and Short track, big track, middle track, any track. Braxton DeWeese, though, finding his way to the front, staying patient. See if anybody's got anything for him.
Yeah, I think Braxton's in a little bit of the catbird seat, especially with all these damaged cars behind him. They're not going to be getting as big of a run as they normally would to his back bumper. It's going to kind of maybe spread out this pack at the front, and I think he's in the best spot right now. But I would also have to be worried about that 58 of Justin Wilson, who's going to be giving him the push behind him. That car is clean. That car is fast. He qualified on the outside front row. We know that he's got something to prove, and I think he's going to be trying his best to get around that 8 car.
Yeah, Justin Wilson's been up here hanging around the front half of the field, the front part of the field all night long, able to get lucky, stay out of some of those wrecks, but racing really fast. And the big move here is always to get hooked up to that leader, push them out as far as you can, give them a run they can't handle, and just scoop and score down on the bottom line, drag race back to the start finish line. Always an interesting fact here at Talladega. They moved this finish line down to the back end of the front end of the back end of the tri-oval. Used to be right there in the middle, but always adds that added element of, we got a little extra racetrack. Can't take our foot off the gas yet. Always adds for a little bit more of a drag race feel as they come back down through here, depending on how things work out. We see Braxton DeWeese, Robert Bropes lining up side by side. Bropes will have the push from Matt Kuntz tonight, who we've been able to, speak very highly of here at these super speedways. He knows what he's doing out here. Some of these guys, speedway specialists, we don't often see them up in the mix at some of these other racetracks, but when they're up here doing super speedway racing, it's like a man possessed. So I'm sure drivers are hungry for this win, especially if they know this is an opportunity they're going to have to wait to get next time they come out to a big track, restrictor plate track.
And you see the short field right there working its way down the straightaway. Might not have too many cars in this pack that are able to compete with the 8 and 58 up front. But I can assure you, we can have 3 cars out there, and they're going to be putting on a show with 2 to go here at Talladega.
Yeah, just 12, 13 cars, I believe, up there in the mix right now with this front group. You see the rest of the cars trying to get back before the restart zone. They're flying by on the backstretch after taking some repairs down on pit road as much as they can.
You want to get that done. You want to get as much as you can done, because anything can happen here in these green-white checkers. If you're on the lead lap, you could restart all the way in the back with a boatload of damage and come home in the top 10 and maybe even higher. So I don't blame any of those guys that have been involved in a couple of the past wrecks, coming down, getting some of that damage fixed, trying to put themselves in position to capitalize on this craziness that's about to kick off.
Yeah, just get that wheel to point the right way and have it not be stepping out from underneath of you. And you can make some magic happen here. Even Evan Pienta running with no hood on that car, the rear of that back line, that bottom line. You never know, but for right now, what we do know is it's Braxton DeWeese up here at the front, leading us through the restart zone with Justin Wilson on his bumper. Robert Bropes also there on the outside with Matt Kuntz. That bottom line got a great jump. They're out to a great advantage here. Brandon Ayers is going to follow through. That top line kind of getting left behind. It's Scotty Sobczak, though, who took some pretty big damage earlier in this race running in that 4th car there on the bottom line. See, Ayers now jumping up to the top side with Robert Bropes. Still not quite the squares to pushes. Robert having to burp it just a little bit there, not to get a bigger chunk of that 16 car. But it's going to give Justin Wilson the chance while all that's happening behind him to get a great run of speed to the top line. Sean, you talked about it earlier. Justin Wilson had a chance in that position behind Braxton DeWeese, and he's able to make something out of it, slicing and dicing his way up to the front.
Johnny Rapp getting a little bit of that wall coming down to the line. We're going to have white flag waving in the air one final time around at Talladega. Brandon Ayers giving the push to Justin Wilson up front. Braxton DeWeese leading that inside line. Justin's going to drop down in front of Braxton to get the run from the 8 car. Coming down the backstretch, who was able to make the move. I expect Braxton to kind of jump to the top when he gets a little bit of speed, but Brandon Ayers is going to try to cover that hole. But right behind Braxton, there he goes, making the move, going down into turn 3. They're going to be side by side for the lead here, Sal.
It's going to take every inch of asphalt here. Wilson drifting up high there now, getting stuck in the middle. It's Scotty Sobczak on the bottom. Wilson going to get caught up here with Johnny Rapp as a pusher. Sobzak now getting pushed by the 33. That's Dahl, but it's DeWeese back out to the front. Oh, and Ayers comes down on the nose of the 58 of Wilson, but it's Braxton DeWeese coming across the line, able to get the job done here tonight at Talladega. What a win for the 8. Able to be patient, wait his turn, and the seas parted, and he got up to that high line exactly when he needed to. The field reckoned behind him. Pretty classic Talladega finish on. That was something else.
A very classic Talladega finish. Got a feel for that 16 of Brandon Ayers. He pushed Braxton DeWeese coming to the line, made the move to the bottom, and kind of just got chased out of racetrack. Was underneath the 8 car trying to get to the inside quarter panel and just came across the nose of the third place car there on the bottom. I believe Justin Wilson was sitting in that position. Went around for a big spin, a crash in the pack, and that's gonna be the end of it, Sal. A big win tonight for Braxton DeWeese, coming into a dangerous race as somebody up front in the points, as we saw, but he's going to be the big winner tonight, gaining points on Chris Smith and Josh Ward.
And what a finish here, as it's smoking fire and tires all over the place behind the winner, Braxton DeWeese. Robert Bropst ran a great race all night here tonight as well, P2.
Feels good taking his money. Good run tonight, Robert.
That was a great run from the 5 all night long in the mix up at the front. Was able to get up there after those 2 quick cautions, I believe, earlier in this one, and just stayed hanging around. A P2 is a big night.
Wait till you see this top 10, Sal.
I'm waiting for the official top 10 to come out here as we watch Braxton DeWeese do some donuts. Braxton DeWeese winning this race, collecting all the points, going home with a big bag. It's Robert Bropst, P2. Scott Drost, the 2 car, in 3rd position. Johnny Rapp wraps it up in 4th. Justin Wilson, after that contact, able to hang on, come across the line in 5th. Scotty Sobzak, big damage for him early in this race, fights back for a 6th place position. Jeremy Dahl in 7th. Ellis Thomas fights back for an 8th place spot. Zach Mitchell in 9th. Matt Kuntz led some laps here tonight, finishes in 10th place.
James Danforth going to come back from that late crash to finish in the 11th position. Nathan Gentry, another damaged car, going to limp home in 12th. Brandon Ayers going for the win and through the tri-oval, ends up on his roof in 13th spot. Josh Ward, a tough night for your points. I think he was 2nd in the points coming in tonight, going to come home in the 14th spot. Brian Bropst 15th, Rye Jones 16th, Nick DeCesare 17th, Patrick O'Toole 18th, a hoodless Evan Pienta in 19th, and Peter Stewart in 20th, your last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, 21st, it's Steve Vest. 22nd, we got Patrick Colby. Had some good runs here tonight, not able to get quite the result he was looking for. Chase Barry in 23rd. Adrien Schumacher, 24th. Laura Wiseman, who was up there at the start of this race, unfortunately not the night she wanted, getting some damage in a wreck, 26th. Justin Lacayo in 25th. Ryan Rose, 27th. Jimmy Moore in 28th. Evan Janik in 29th. Ryan Hinkle in 30th. Wrapping out the field here, Tom Lickert, the 99. Randy Gross in 32nd, Chris Smith 33rd, Paul Thomas 34th, Cam Gillens 35th, and those other 2 guys 36th and 37th. Don't worry about them.
We suck.
Don't worry, the finishing position doesn't matter. We brought the hauler driver back some clean cars. 2 guys up here in the broadcast booth tonight.
Yeah, not a good showing for the guys in the booth tonight.
Oh man, well, what a race, Sean. I mean, that was something. We'll get a hold of these drivers here in just a few minutes. We'll do some interviews. We'll get some point standings updated here and get you guys a look at what's yet to come here in the Slingshot Racing League. We've got a ton of excitement from Talladega here tonight, and I'm sure we're bottled up and ready for more here as the season continues on.
Definitely. That was one hell of a show. We're going to step away for a quick ad break, and we'll be back with your top 3 runners.
right, we're jumping back in here. Thanks for hanging with us through commercial break there. We've got Robert Brobst up here in the booth with us. Robert, what a race from you in that 5 car tonight. We were singing your praises up here for quite a while. You were able to get up to the front and hang on to her. I mean, great run of speed. We know it's Talladega, but what did that one feel like from behind the wheel?
About lap 60, it felt like a horrible, horrible death, but otherwise, it was a good time. I'm just happy to finally talk to you guys. I send you money every week. You know, you watch the races. I'm the one that handles the payments for the league.
Yeah, always exciting to see your name pop up in the PayPal. That beer money goes a long way.
You're the best one out there by a mile.
Anything? I mean, we saw you get up to the front. You were able to hang up in there for quite a while. Throughout the night, though, tonight we saw a third line forming. What did that look like from your seat as that run seemed to happen toward the middle of this race? But it seemed like people got a little gun shy there at the end to take it 3 wide. As a driver who was, you know, on the cusp here, made some big moves on the outside line. What was that run of speed like when you could get up there on the high side?
I mean, as long as either you're getting pushed or you were lined up with some guys that are willing to, you know, stay nose to tail proper and, you know, stay in it and push each other. It was, the third line really flies here at Talladega. I don't really understand why it happens in pretty much every vehicle that you can race at Talladega. It's always something you got to test out at some point in the race and see where you can make your moves, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys were 3-4 wide at some points of this race, but ultimately you're able to hold on.
That 4 wide was horrifying.
I was scared for you up here in the booth. I will tell you, my heart rate picked up just as Scrooge, because once you get 4 wide, it's like the air packs so different around the cars. And I mean, it's a hair to the left or a hair to the right when you're moving that wheel that can send you up into the stratosphere if you're not careful over the catch fence.
Thankfully, everyone was aware we were 4 wide, and everyone just navigated it properly. Because iRacing doesn't tell you you're 4 wide. It doesn't tell you anything with a spotter pack.
Car inside, car outside. That's it.
Yeah. It'll tell you you're 3 wide, but when you're 4, nothing.
Scary stuff. You think they'd let you know. Speaking of letting them know, do you have anybody special you want to thank out there tonight? Second place finish. This is a big run for you here tonight. Sure to pick up some good points. Who do you have to thank out there for the run?
I mean, I got to thank the wife for letting me spend 3 out of 4 nights of the week on my computer playing racing games with all you lovely folk. I myself am a sponsor of the league. James Moore with his UNO or Undercut and Overheard podcast. He's come on recently as a sponsor. He joined us as an admin in the off season coming into the season, and he decided, you know what, I can do more for you guys and with you guys, and he picked up and sponsored a bunch of races for us and put his name out there with his new podcast. Give him a tune or give him a listen. And then, you know, I'll probably send the replay out to a few folk. So
a good one to hang on to, a good one to save. Get it up there on social media, share it with your friends. It was a heck of a run for you here tonight, and we're happy to see you up here in the booth. Stop by anytime. You know, we'll you know, all that beer money, we got to put that to a good place. So we appreciate you. So appreciate you joining us up here. Great run of speed. Congrats.
All right, thank you guys. You have a good night.
I will send it over to Sean. He'll be with Braxton DeWeese, your winner here tonight.
Braxton DeWeese yet again coming home in the first position. How you feeling tonight, bud?
Great. I'm so surprised that I was able to make it through all the mayhem. I usually don't. Usually the past couple of super speedway races I've ran and a couple other leagues in this one, I've been able to get the pole, but I haven't been able to really be in contention for the win. And it was a little bit of the opposite today. I wasn't able to get a qualifying lap in. I was having some computer problems, but nonetheless, it's super speedway, so that helped, and we were able to put ourselves in contention when it mattered most, and kept it out front when we really needed to at that big wreck there.
Yeah, explain to us the whole last lap from your point of view. You made a move on I believe that was Justin Wilson to get around him, and then you had to throw a little bit of a block there on Brandon Ayers coming to the line. Worked out for you, but man, that was one hell of a show coming to that checkered flag.
Yeah, I knew the outside lane was going to have the run. That last restart there, the inside wasn't really going like I had hoped it would. Scotty gave me a couple of good pushes there, but could never really stay up there. I seen he had a little bit of front damage, but I knew if I was able to get clear of Brandon there that I needed to go up, and I was able to get clear there on the back straightaway, and I decided there really isn't no time to wait. I don't want to make the move and then get screwed over and not have a shot. So luckily Brandon was able to stay. He was staying there with us, didn't try to make a move to go around the outside or anything to make it 3, so that was good. We ended up going 3 wide there into 3. We were up on the top and we had the run, so it kind of trapped Brandon. He couldn't really go nowhere, and coming off 4, I was just looking in my mirror, driving in my mirror. I knew that the most of the track was down low, so that's probably where he was going to go. So I just was trying to slowly drive on down there, and then I seen him make a little bit of a move, so I made a little bit more of a move, and then I seen he got turned, and after that I knew I had it in the bag, and I was pretty stoked about it. I believe it gives us the points lead, so very important going into these last few races. We just need to keep it up.
It might be the only car out there without any damage, sitting pretty on top of the points. A big race overall for you tonight. Some big gains on those point standings. Anybody you want to shout out for your big win tonight?
Yeah, most definitely. I want to dedicate this win to the family over at 3 Dips Ice Cream Shop. Their Aunt Pat just passed away, so prayers out to them. Hopefully they can keep on keeping on the best they can. Glad we were able to get a win, in this tough time. So gotta go get some ice cream tomorrow and tell them I won and stuff, and hopefully we can lighten up the mood and have a little bit of a good time for the minute. But really appreciate them and all their support that they have done with the sim and on the real race car. I really look forward to not only continuing racing with the 3 Dips logo on our sim racing car, but also our real racing car. But really appreciate them, as well as Interstate Ford, Stake Time, Allen Threats Images, Dewey Certifications, Elevated TV, Paid Leave, Wooden Nickel Band, Ghost Train, Short Track Report, Scum and Tires Media, Evan Pineda Designs, Our Pizza House in Winchester, Indiana, for serving pizza at Winchester Speedway and helping us Roadster fellas. And also shout out to Brandon Oakley Race Cars. It's been a hell of a time working there the past few days. I've learned a lot, and I look forward to learning a lot more, and just getting better at everything there. It's not only going to be good for the company, but it's also going to be good for me if I want to be successful in real racing. So I'm going to have to be able to build my own cars. So looking forward to it. Appreciate them. Appreciate everybody that supports, tunes into the broadcast. Even if you're not rooting me on, I appreciate you guys watching us go in circles on the computer. It's pretty cool. I appreciate you guys for broadcasting as well. I'm looking forward to going back and seeing all the different moves from not only myself, but from the other people. See if we can learn anything. There's always something you can learn, but just got to keep up the consistency here.
Well, congratulations on your big win tonight. Some big gains on those standings. And I'm going to send it back over with Sal, who's going to be closing out our race tonight.
Yeah, congratulations, Braxton. What a win here tonight. This race, always fun, always a good time here at Talladega. We always get the action live up front in your living room, whether you're watching as a friend or a family member, a sponsor. We hope you all enjoyed it here tonight just as much as we did. We'll be back here coming up next week. Got some racing, getting back to some short tracks, I believe, here in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be a lot of fun to see these drivers go big, small. They do it all as we continue to fight for those points. These drivers fight for those points to get that championship here this year in the Slingshot Racing League. That on behalf of myself, John, Colby behind the keys. We appreciate y'all tuning in, being in the comments, chatting it up, letting us know who you thought was going to come home with the checkered. But it's Braxton Deweese from Talladega, and we'll see you all back here on Slingshot Racing next week.